Not yet.
Not yet. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. No worries.
And 3, 2, 1.
Hi, this is. Hi, guys.
That was a test.
We're having a moment here.
There we go.
There we go. Ta-da!
Okay, are we on?
We're on.
Yeah.
Okay. This is John Kalisz, colorist of Hornsby and Halo and the New History of the DC Universe and a whole bunch of other stuff. And this is Splash Pages.
Is the one obvious thing.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
Hey, happy Tuesday, everybody. You are watching Splash Pages. My name's Leo. I'm the monkey behind the keyboard here. We have an amazing show scheduled for you as always. And with us, let's kick it over to Carrie. How's it going?
Hey, everybody. Going pretty good. Red Oscar is doing some Black Velvet tonight. Haim to have dog. How's it going? And yeah, I got some great Kickstarters to talk about tonight. But first, we have an excellent guest. And let's hop over to Drew and let him do some introductions.
Hi, I'm Drew, and these are my introductions. It's Tuesday, so we got that going for us, which is nice. So as Carrie and Leah said, we do have a great show. We have a fantastic guest making his Splash Pages debut. He's here to discuss if I'm correct, decades upon decades, that's 3 decades, I believe, of work in comics, working on titles you didn't even realize that he was on. He's been throwing on his fantastic, strong, bold color palette, making all the images pop. Check it out. It's totally awesome. And we also learned how to say his name correctly because we at Splash Pages are working on improving that because it is the road to Terrificon. So everybody, the one, the only, God, I hope I'm getting this right, John Kalisz.
Yay!
Oh,
Hi, everybody.
Okay. I thought he was going to be like, no, you got it wrong again. I'm out. Hell with you all. So, John, I came in late. Thank you for coming on. Much appreciated. Yes, we covered that. But I can't, 30, am I right? 30 plus years working in comics?
I started in comics. My first gig in comics was actually on staff at Marvel. I was a Ramita Raider working in the art department. That was in September of '91. That's when I started in comics.
Mhm.
And it's been continuous ever since, which is it's a little mind-boggling to think about it. But yeah, it's over 30 years now, 34.
And what did you say your first job was?
It was as a Romita Raider. There was this program that John Romita, when he was the art director at Marvel, he started it in the 80s. He would have, it was 3 guys that would come in, and young guys, aspiring artists, would come in and work on staff. It was essentially a paid internship. We really didn't make a whole lot of money, but we worked up in the office every day, 5 days a week. And we would do art corrections. And that was a way to meet editors, kind of learn the system. And it just kind of went from there. The idea was you wouldn't stay for more than a year at that job. It was a year or less until you were ready to make that jump and get into freelance. That's how I started.
Wow.
And you've worked a lot with John Romita Jr. over the years since then, too.
Junior? Just a couple times, really.
A bit, I thought. Okay.
Just a few times.
Peter Tomasi also is somebody
Peter, I
don't know why I link those two I don't know why I link those two together. Maybe it's something that I'm not sure, but those 2 guys are stuck in my head together, so forgive me there. But
they both have very dark, very thick hair, so maybe that's got something to do with it.
And, you have nothing in common.
While I was going through your books, I also saw a friend of the show, Keith Champagne. You've done some work with him as well.
Yeah. Keith, well, I did before I worked at the up at Marvel. I went to the Kubert School, and Keith was in school with me there, but I think he was a year or 2 behind me, so I didn't know him super well. But yeah, we worked a lot. He and Peter Tomasi worked together a lot as well. So when you kind of get into Peter used to be an editor up at DC, and when you kind of get into somebody stable, they do tend to use the same people over and over again. And Pete and Keith were tight, and he trusted him to do stuff. And for color, I was the same boat. So yeah, we did work together a lot that way.
And something that's great that they both have in common is that, having met Keith and Peter quite a lot over the years, they are 2 of the nicest people you'll ever meet. They have like a fantastic sense of humor. They're like, oh yeah, we're doing this thing. Like, oh, you brought these books. Cool. I'll sign them. Cool. Thanks. Tell the story. Shoot a laugh. I've met Peter a few times, and it's funny because he was an editor, I think, in DC in the 90s. So there's actually 2 of my favorite titles, I believe he was an editor for. I think it was Starman and Hitman at one point. And he's one of the few editors I have signed on those. And he was like, oh yeah, this is great working on and whatnot. But like you said, I think like him, and correct me on another one of your current collaborators, Mark Waid, also at one point was an editor, right? You're working with him on the history of the DC universe, right?
Yep.
Oh man, we've
also worked with Mark on Captain America back in the 90s. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, we've met Mark a few times. I like to throw one of those issues out, just because I feel like he's never-endingly signing Kingdom Come. Yeah. So I was like, let me just a little variety there, and he's just like, oh, thank you. But yeah,
it's funny you mentioned Peter. I owe Peter an awful lot for my longevity in the business. An editor, he really kind of shepherded me along on some things. Like, I don't know how familiar you guys would be with the old school style of coloring, where we did color guides, and they initially, like back in up until the 90s,
right?
You would color on a separate, like a Xeroxed page of the original artwork, and you would color it in with dyes, and you'd have to actually put the codes down on it and all that. That's how I started, and I did actually make the jump to the digital coloring. And without Peter there, I'm not sure how smooth that would have gone. He had me doing all these other books. He had me doing color guides on JSA, which I worked on for like 100 issues almost.
Right.
The kind of the transitional period that he got for me that worked out really well. They did a book called JSA All Stars, where there was you remember this book? Had a lead feature. It was drawn by Sal Voluto, I believe, and then the backups were by a whole bunch of different guys, and they were short. They were, I think, maybe 8 pages. And he had me do color guides on the lead feature, and in the backup, he's like, "You got a little more time on this? Try doing digital." and he kind of just threw me into the water there, working with some really good people. My first computer color job was over Howard Chaykin. I don't think I'd ever want to tell him that because I don't know how good it came out looking at it now, but that was my first gig. And then Eduardo Riso was the second one. Michael Lark was one of the later ones. So I'd like to take the time to publicly apologize to all of those guys for my early efforts. I do better now, I promise.
No, we're supposed to interview Howard at one of our upcoming conventions, so we'll just tell him you said hey and change the subject.
He probably won't even know who I am, but
you never know. Well,
never know.
Yeah, well, we'll make sure we tell him that you love Star Wars and just immediately set him off.
But you know what? I actually have a question for Howard. When you talk to him, I've always wondered. I was a kid when those Star Wars adaptations came out, and of course I loved it. You know, it was Star Wars, and I was 8. I always wondered, like, I know he disses that book like it was a job, but in the last issue, there are pages like that went out to Many Hands Inkers. There are panels in there that are so distinctively inked by Dave Stevens that look so great, and I always wondered, I was like, okay, what did you think when you saw those pages come in from the inker? If he actually was like, whoa, this looks better than the rest.
Carrie, that's your interview.
I marked it down. Yeah, I the first time I saw Howard Chaykin, I was terrified of him because I was filming a panel and he went off on, he was Howard, and I was not prepared for Howard. And then since then, I've overcome my fear, and like, I think he's wonderful and everything. But I was just like, you guys, I'm so scared of, he's walking by again. Don't.
Yeah, no. Carrie found what her and Howard share an appreciation for: show tunes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So Carrie is hoping to use that love of boisterous show tunes to just conquer the towering Chaykin. So
Carrie, I got to ask you, what's your favorite show?
I'm torn because, like, as far as what I would listen to in the car, if I'm just listening to a show, it's going to be Les Mis, Phantom, and Fiddler. But I haven't seen Les Mis live. I've seen a couple of different versions of Phantom live, and I got to see Fiddler a couple of times, once with Topol actually as Tevye. So I mean, I love a bunch of other show tunes or musicals and stuff as well, but as far as the ones that I've actually gotten to see, I'd have to say that performance of Fiddler was the best one that I've seen. I bawled, when I was watching it. That's one that always makes me cry.
Good deal.
But how about you?
I'm not a super aficionado. I'm more of a dabbler in theater, but this may be kind of a cliche. I do really like Wicked. I think it's a super fun show.
There's nothing wrong with that Wicked. Whoa. There's nothing wrong. I've been seeing Broadway shows since I've been 7 years old. So let me tell you, nothing wrong with it, just not Cats. Okay? Just
I've never seen Cats.
Okay, great. Neither have I. I have no desire to. So
I'm not even going to watch that movie. I would put as a 1B. I like Hadestown a lot as well.
Oh yes, Hadestown is pretty great, and it's funny because me and Carrie will just occasionally we'll just be chatting, and I'll just decide to just start singing something, and she just picks it up. Like I'll just Fiddler or Les Mis, and she just picks up and goes. She just knows, and I'm like, I only remember 30 goddamn seconds, and I've seen everything that she mentioned except Fiddler. Because I am definitely not a rich man. So thank you, Carrie. I know you got that one.
Yes, I think everybody did.
Yeah, I know. Shut up.
But
but we'll you know what, John? When we get an answer, not only most likely which will be in the interview, we'll send it to you.
Oh, great.
Or we'll just email you saying, just letting you know we answered the question. And hopefully Howard. Yeah, well, it's fine because that'll be John's question, Carrie. So if he doesn't like it, it's like, well, here's his email. You let us know what you think.
With Tomasi, you're saying that he asked you to start doing things in digital. I mean, you are known as a pioneer in creating in teaching people and making the digital coloring what it is, like the level that it reached and how people approached it. So I mean, that was just, you're like, oh, you're gonna ask me to do some digital, but I mean, that was really a huge part in your career.
It was a big jump.
Or at least for
Yeah.
other people, you know, that you influenced the way that a whole generation of people started doing their coloring. So
Thank you.
I mean,
I just thought I was
we're,
things by the seat of my pants.
Hey.
I'll take it.
no, you were a leader in the industry. People followed your work. They were like, well, we're gonna go and see how John did it and see what we can do. Oh, how did you do that? Hey, John, how did you do that? Did you get a lot of that?
Not really. There's a lot of very talented people out there coloring comics now, and there were people that were doing it before me. Like Steve Olaf was doing digital stuff. Steve Bucelato was doing digital stuff like way before I was. So it's some big shoes to step into, and some other guys that had already kind of blazed those trails before me. So yeah, I'm just kind of finding my way, day by day, and I'm still trying to get better. Like there's always new tricks to learn, and you can't stop learning.
Well,
now, what do you use for coloring now?
Pretty much the same stuff everybody else uses. I use Photoshop. I have a Cintiq, which are the tablets that you draw, right on. That was actually something that came along later. When I first started doing digital coloring, it was just the Wacom tablets that you drew on, and you kind of matched what was on the screen, and you just so it wasn't actually you were drawing right on the thing. And then the Cintiqs came out, and you plug that into your computer, and it's like, oh, I'm actually working on a surface that I can use now. So that's what I use.
Was there anybody in your as you were learning the craft that you really took a lot of inspiration from? Kind of like, everybody had their favorites or people, and I often feel like inkers and colorists are sometimes the unsung heroes of comics, because it's kind of like theater. Everybody plays a part, and without all the parts, the show doesn't work. So yeah, you have the actors, but the stage crew is making some of that shit go. Mm-hmm. So
I would say, for when I started doing the color guides, that was such a different discipline. And there were a lot of people that were pretty good doing it, but there were a few that just excelled, that I was like, oh, this person is an artist. I looked at when Mark Chiarello would color something. I was like, that guy knows what he's doing. This isn't just somebody with markers, doing a coloring book. This guy knows what he's doing with color. Mm-hmm. So I looked at Mark's stuff. When I was at the Kubert School, I had George Pratt as a teacher. Okay. And there was some war book that George did pen and ink work, just a short story in some anthology, and he colored it. And I was like, that looks so much cooler than what other people are doing. He was using these very non-traditional colors for flesh tones and backgrounds and things. So I would look at those as Kevin Nolan colored some things, and I thought, well, that is on a different level than what other people are doing. So I looked at that. And the digital stuff, Olaf was great when I came in. For just art in general, when I was growing up, I really gravitated towards the guys that use color. Sienkiewicz was one. I was such a fan of him when I was growing up. When he started drawing New Mutants, it was just this never seen anything like this in a comic book before. And then he painted and John J. Mutant and Kent Williams, those guys, George Pratt, they all influenced me a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
And have you ever worked with mediums like watercolor or anything when you're trying out doing different coloring?
I have, not in a long time. I got to the digital stage, and it's just like digital just makes everything so much easier, and it's so much cleaner. My hands are, never covered in paint and stuff. It is a thing I'd kind of like to do again. Like maybe someday if I retire, I would like to do more watercolor and painting. It's something I always want to do more with, but don't as much as I would like to.
Okay. Leo, you keep trying to pull something up, and then we talk over it. So why don't you?
What did you have, Leo?
You're muted.
The JLA All-Stars. That's what I had up.
Yeah. We have talked about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was from the lead feature. The pages that you showed were from the lead feature that Sal and I think Bob Amond inked those.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Sorry about that. I had your name on it. Okay, so I do actually, while I have it up, sorry, I got too many windows open right now. Let me pull this up. I know you did mention it. You're going to be working on with, actually, you are working on now with Mark Waid, the new history of the DC universe. I know you can't say much about it, but how's that experience been? I know we're all excited for it. I already have multiple copies in my.
It's going to be. It's going to be a perennial. This is something people are going to have on their shelves. They're going to keep this in print forever. If you have trying to think about what I can say and can't say here. If you remember the original, it was a lot of vignettes. There wasn't a lot of panels and stuff. This is very similar. It's each page is kind of like just a collage of things from the DC universe. Like, let's say the first page I worked on literally has Lucifer falling from heaven. So that's how far back we go with history. We're getting to it.
Wow.
That's where it starts.
I thought that he had mentioned on I'm terribly sorry. He had mentioned on Word Balloon maybe that the Endless were in the very beginning of it. I don't know if you can say or not, or if they are or not, but I might have misheard him when he was saying that, though, because it was, my internet isn't the best always. But
they're in there a little bit, yes.
Nice.
The first issue, I should mention, the first issue is there's 2 artists in each issue. So the first issue has Todd Knock and Jerry Ordway. I did Jerry's pages. Oh boy, I got to remember who colored Todd's pages. I'm sorry, I can't come up with it off the top of my head. We were all on the email thread together, but I can't remember who it was. Then the second issue is, I'm not involved with the second issue. That's Mike Allred and Brad Walker. The third issue is Dan Jurgens and Doug Monkey, and I'm doing the Jurgens pages.
Nice.
Fourth issue, I don't know anything about. So as far as I know, I'm only working on issues 1 and 3, but that's enough. They are very busy pages. There's a lot going on. It's a difficult job, but when I look at those pages, when I'm done with the first issue, I finished that weeks ago. And I look at those finishes, I'm like, this is something people are going to want to have. You're probably going to want it in a nice oversized hardcover. I'm kind of crossing my fingers they'll do an absolute. I think that's probably a pretty good chance.
Nice.
It's going to be great. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I'm totally excited.
How many do you have ordered, Leo? How many?
I just told my LCS just put one of each cover. One of each cover. Just set it aside, and I'll pick it up. Especially the one with all the characters with the fold out.
I think that's the Scott Koblish cover, right?
Most likely.
Generally, they are. I've noticed recently that if you want somebody to put an entire universe onto one piece of paper, ask Scott Koblish, and he'll do it.
Funny little bit of trivia, Scott. That's why I told you I was a Romita Raider at Marvel. When I left my cycle, he wasn't the next guy in. I think he was 2 guys removed. So he was a Raider within probably a year of me leaving.
Wow.
So, so he came up through the same system.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, we had him on the show a year ago, and we were just talking to him about everything. And I think that was around one of his, ultimate collection issues was being announced. There's probably I think it might have been Fantastic Four or something like that, right, Carrie and Leo? I remember we were talking to him and I was like, how long does it take? He says, long enough. I'm like, that's fair.
Takes as long as it takes. Something
seriously. I think one time we tried, we're like, oh, let's see if we can name everybody. We couldn't do it. I was like, there are so many characters. But I was like, how do you draw them so small and it's so distinct? And it's like, well, if I tell you, I'm gonna lose work. I'm like, that's fair. You don't ask a magician how he does the magic. You just enjoy the show.
It's because the original canvas is the size of a wall, so he's drawing them all to life. So.
The lantern light in this Koblish manner. Just okay. All right. It's 431. I have to get to 450 and then I can eat dinner.
I know the feeling. I'm working on some stuff like that too. Lots of characters.
Yeah.
bringing up some of your more recent stuff, I know we definitely want to touch on Ghost Machine, but you also did a recent issue of Batman and Robin. And
did I? This is not my stuff.
This is not your stuff.
Nope.
No.
What the heck? Hold on.
You're having the same thing. We looked at the same spot. I was looking up a bunch of your stuff on Goodreads because it's easier to do, and I think Leo's finding because I'd go and look and I'm like,
no, I'm on.
No, he's
I'm
not in there.
No, I'm on DC's website with the list of all your work, John.
What I did work on Batman and Robin, the new 52 Batman and Robin. That was me, Pete Tomasi, Pat Gleason, Mick Gray. So we did several years of that Batman and Robin, but the more
that was a great run.
Okay.
That was stupend. I own all of that run, and that was, oh my God, Peter, Pat Gleason, just everybody. Ugh, that was one of my favorite books to pick up when the new 52 was a rockin'. The silent issue just still devastates me to this day. And of course, what I always love about Pete, he never forgets where he came from. So in one of the story arcs, they reference Noonan's, which was from Hitman, which he was an editor for. I told him, I said, listen, as a Hitman fan, thank you. Just keeping that alive. And then that just keeps popping up in a lot of his work.
Oh, you're a Hitman fan.
Oh, God, yeah.
I gotta throw something out there, too. So, there's a new Hitman omnibus coming out.
Oh, yeah.
There's a volume 1. Volume 2 is coming out. I actually did a couple miniseries in there, the Section 8 and the Dog Welder one.
Yeah.
Those will be in there. And
Sweet.
there is a new 12-page story that will be in there as well.
Yes. Let's go.
Dog Welder's history.
It
broke my heart. It was just like, it was beautiful, and I'm gonna blame you on my heartbreaking because you're so good at making the emotions flow with the colors and everything just
and
happens. And
it was
beautiful.
It was one of those. I was like, God, I miss weird DC. I mean, DC is still plenty weird, but the 90s had just a particular brand of oddity that was just so distinct and honest in its absurdity and its strangeness. And Hitman is just, I was like, nope, could not happen now. But by God, I'm glad it happened overall.
Well, it's back at least for one last round at Noonan.
Well, if you remember Hitman, there was always time for another drink at Noonan's. So
did you color the new story recently?
Pardon me?
You're coloring the new 12-page story that's included?
Oh, it's done. I finished it a long time ago. Yeah, it's all.
But it's you.
Yeah, it's me. It's Garth, John McCrae, and then me.
John McCrae is another name that just pops up next to yours all the time as well. You guys do fabulous work together.
Yeah, kind of on and off here and there. I love working with John. He's this stuff is so much fun.
Oh yeah, we had him on a little later this year. I think it was in March, and we were just talking to him about everything, and he was revealing to us essentially the origins of Noonan's, how that all kind of came about. I'll send you the link. It was an amazing hour, and the whole time we're doing it, I'm dressed as Tommy because I have that cosplay. So and I had bought a Guinness, and I'm just drinking it, and I was like, "Yep, drinking on the show an empty stomach. What a Tommy move! Oh boy." Now, Carrie, no.
There's another story that's in there. I don't know if you would have missed it, and DC puts out those anthologies seasonally,
right.
And there was a Baitor Darkseid story in one of them. Did you catch that one?
Oh my God, I totally forgot about that. Oh my God, yeah, that was crazy funny.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Why didn't you tell me about that?
I'm sorry, Carrie. Okay, I'm a human being. I forget things. Okay, but that's true. Why would I forget Darkseid and your favorite demon, or one of your favorite demons?
Favorite demon.
She loves Baitor.
Oh, well, you're gonna like the story that's in the omnibus, the new story.
Oh boy,
it's a Baitor story. So,
I kept telling John, I was like, if I ever see a Baitor at a convention, I might lose my mind. I mean, he was telling us about he's seen dog welders at cons, and I was like, oh my God, why? Why am I not at these conventions so I can greet these people and get a dog welded to my face?
I wanted to just carry around a broken window prop and bash it with people because I am a big fan of the defenestrator. That's why I like Prague. They had the 3 defenestrations of Prague, and I don't know if you know about them. It's a history thing. He didn't know about them, but I'm giving you an education in European history. But I've just ever since that I've loved the defenestration thing, and so having a character named the defenestrator, I was just like, holy shit, yes.
Yeah, it was a great work. So see, John, if you were at a convention, this is the kind of thing I would be like, hi, you'd worked on this, please sign this, join your friends, and they're put your John Hancockness to theirs, and then I will never let this book leave unless someone else goes to a con, and then I'll just complete that trifecta. And you can ask Carrie and Leo. That's very much, I believe. I mean, it's better now, but it used to be just a suitcase of, all right, I'm going to get all this signed. I'll see you in an hour.
There's schedules to be maintained, little regimen of Drew's signing thing. Okay, now I'm going to go and do these. And while I'm doing this guy's going to be kind of free. So you can go over and take these for me. And then, and tomorrow, this is the rotation.
Okay, excuse me. I want to point out.
He's organized. That's all I'm saying.
I just want to point out, I was under the impression divide and conquer was not just on the battlefield, that applies to life. So if you can do that to a sandwich, you can do that to a comic convention, you can do that on the battlefield. Okay, I didn't see anything wrong with that, and the results speak for themselves. But back to John.
I want to. Leo, can you put a hyphen so we can check out some of the just gorgeous, we were talking about how you bring emotion in with color, and I was even reading some of the script pages, and going with some choices you made slightly different than what was put in, but they work so well. I can see why it wouldn't have been changed. It's like, oh, there doesn't need to be this in here, but you're able to mix the reds with these pale, real cool colors, and it just looks so good.
Oh yeah, I remember doing those now. A lot of that, the color choices. So Mosen, the writer, he was very specific about the colors have to do with the emotions and what power is being used.
Right.
So he was very specific about what color should be used here, and what does the purple represent, what does the red represent, et cetera, et cetera. So it was kind of up to me to read the script and kind of fit it together and get it to where it is. It's a fun book though, and of course the color is such a big part of the story in that. So it was a big task, and then Jeff, the artist, did a terrific job on this.
Oh yeah, and it's just so funny because again, it's kind of again, when you just think of comics, you just think kind of almost like it's in 2 dimensions. It's writer and artist, and then when you really get to peer more into it, there's so many levels. And again, you would think, oh, that's just red, but I'm like, what kind of red? Is it Superman red? Is it Spider-Man red? Is it horror red? Okay, is it exactly? What is it? So, like you said, so when you're doing your colors, is that more of instructed, oh, this should be, or is this kind of you're reading it and you're kind of putting it through your own interpretation? It's I think we're going to go with this.
It really depends on the project. Some guys are very specific about what they want. So on Batman and Robin, Pat Gleason and I would talk all the time. I mean, he would think through, the color on his stuff and what he wanted, what he wanted specifically on things. And other guys are just do your thing. It kind of depends. Sometimes there are notes in the script that are, again, very specific. This needs to be, this and this. Here's a little anecdote that just happened a couple hours ago. I'm working on an issue of this Hornsby and Halo book I work on. And there's a page that takes place at a little county fair type thing. I went to refer to the script I'm not sure if this is day or night. There's a lot of, these fairs have little lights all over the place and everything. I'm going to need to know this. So I looked on Peter's script. I hope he's not going to get mad at me for saying this, but or telling the story. the caption actually said, first line, nighttime, and then it described the fair and said, these people are enjoying this beautiful sunny day. So I texted him, I was like, hey, Pete, is it nighttime or is it day? And he's like, it should be nighttime. Sorry. So it happens.
Right. We're all people in. Did you was there ever any job in your career that was like the most challenging? Like that you were like, oh man, I gotta really sit down, lock the door, blast whatever music, and just bang it out.
Different jobs are hard for different reasons. Sometimes what you're describing is something that's on a very tight schedule, and you're like,
okay,
I do that. I'm gonna drink a lot of caffeine, and I'm gonna stay up late and play loud music.
Right.
I did an issue of it was some Batman thing. It's like a Gotham City Sirens thing that was in. I think I had 4 days to do a 20-page book, and that's a lot, to actually get down and doing 5 pages in one day. That's one thing. You're like, okay, I can just do this. I'll get through it. Doing 5 pages every day for 4 consecutive days is hard. That's okay, I'm not sleeping very much.
Right. And
that's about the fastest I think I ever turned anything around with digital color.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the fastest I turned anything around when I did the color guides, this is back after I had left staff at Marvel, but I was still living in New Jersey. I was working on a book called Spirits of Vengeance. Remember that book at all?
Oh yeah.
Ghostwriter spinoff.
She's a big Ghostwriter fan.
One of the first things I collected, actually.
Oh, excellent. From that era, or
I was in high school and I was waiting tables next to the mall with the only comic book shop in the county next door to it. And so when the Rise of the Midnight Suns came out and Spirits of Vengeance and all of that happened, I was like, okay, I need extra shifts. Why? Because there's a crossover event. I must work more so I can afford all of these books. So yeah, that happened.
Okay.
But I learned a good work ethic because of your work.
Motivation.
Yeah.
So I do remember. So Tom Palmer was inking the book at the time.
Oh man. Right.
Oh, I can talk about Tom for a while too if we have a minute. But
please tell the stories.
So I got to know Tom pretty well because Tom is a guy that I also owe quite a bit to, early in my career. So the Rise of the Midnight Sun stuff was going on. He was inking Ron Garney on a book called Night Stalkers.
Nice.
And he was doing the color himself. And, as things do, he got behind schedule. And I'd been doing some work for the editor up there. Her name was Hildy Mesnick. And Hildy was like, all right, we need this done really quickly. This book is super late. Tom doesn't have time to color it. Do your thing. So I went home, I bunkered down. I did it and turned in, and it actually turned out really good. Both Tom and Ron really, really liked it. And eventually Tom was like, I don't need to color this anymore. You can do it. We did a few issues together. So that Spirits of Vengeance issue came up like this, that Tom lived, he probably was about an hour, maybe 2 hours away from where I lived in New Jersey. And he actually finished inking some pages, Xeroxed them himself, sent the guides to be colored off to me by a messenger. So they showed up at my door, and I had 24 hours to do it. I got the pages. I had to stay up all night just cranking them out. So this was all, I did basically an issue in a day. And I remember just finishing it up and falling asleep on the floor of my living room out in Jersey. And then I had a messenger come out and take the pages into Marvel from my apartment. And that's how we got that out. But to get back to Tom, one of the sweetest, nicest, most talented human beings that worked in comics ever. Did you guys ever get a chance to meet him?
I did.
He did.
Unfortunately, I tried to when he was at Terrificon. He did an issue of Star Wars that I absolutely loved when I was a kid, and it's the type of book that I read so many times. It's just a ratted old issue, and I found a a mint one I was going to bring to him and have him sign, but just couldn't, like, when I made it to his table, I don't know if he wasn't feeling well, but yeah, it's like every time I actually made it there, I wasn't able to catch him.
Oh, that's fun, man. He was really nice.
Yeah. I wound up, so I working with him quite a lot, and we got pretty friendly. Like he would be FedExing me pages directly. Like we kind of didn't even need an editor at a certain point. Like, and the editor was like, "You guys know what you're doing." Tom would finish his pages, he'd FedEx them off to me, and then I'd finish and send them up to the office. So I do remember I wound up working on Avengers for a while with him. And he had been coloring it for a while. And it was the weirdest thing, because most of the time you get your jobs from, especially back then, this is the 90s, the editor would call you and offer you a job. I got a call one morning from Tom, and he's like, "Oh, I went out with, I think Ralph Macchio was the editor. Yeah, I saw Ralph last night and we were out, and it's like, do you want to color Avengers?" I was like, "Yeah, of course I do. I mean, who would turn down, that gig?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, I would rather spend my time inking, and it's in good hands if I let you color it. So, when you got a guy like Tom Palmer asking for you on a book, that means a lot. And I think that kind of, that leaves an impression on editors too. It's like, hey, Tom trusts this guy. He must be okay. So I owe Tom an awful lot too. He was a great, great man. And I have a page of Night Stalkers that he actually gave to me. It's hanging in my studio.
Wow.
It's a Garney page. It's very, very cool.
Well, we're going to see Ron at Terrificon. He's also going to be there, so we'll definitely tell him you said hi. You
can tell Ron I said hi. I haven't talked to Ron in a long time either, but I love Ron too.
Oh no, we'll be your ambassador. We'll just go about just giving good tidings from John Kalisz, and when just someone's like, "Oh wow, I haven't heard from him." It's like, here's his email. Reach out. Little networking. We're not a fiddler, but we do the music.
Ron Garney released I think Ron is he of the booming voice, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I referred to him, because you can hear him across the con if he's just saying hi to somebody. And I love him to pieces, though, because he is like the biggest, cuddliest, diehard teddy bear kind of thing there is. And he released a book, and he released the audio version. And I listen to audiobooks to go to bed at night, but I haven't started that one yet, because I have a feeling, as he's narrating it, that it is not going to put me to sleep whatsoever. And he probably does different with his narrative voice than he does in his normal speaking, but like kind of scared that I'll get part of the way asleep, and then there'll be just this like coming at me.
Gary, now I'm concerned that we might have confused Ron with Ben Percy, but either way, Ron does have that intense voice, so it doesn't matter either way, because I've spoken to Ron. He's intimidating. He's tall. Don't fuck with Ron, man. He's intense. That man works on a lot of Berserker. Knows Keanu Reeves. Like, he probably picked up some John Wick tips. So don't give that man a pencil, but except to draw.
Oh, it was Benjamin Percy. Damn it, I lied. Totally.
It's okay, but we still love Ron regardless.
My bad. Yeah, we do.
Okay. Yeah, Ron was great. And he has such a wonderful sense of humor. So, love him.
Good, because I just called him Benjamin Percy.
It's okay. We don't talk about that. All right, Leo, did you have any more questions?
Well, I had a geeky question for you regarding coloring. And now,
is it gone?
No. I used to do some graphic design work a while back, and I tried to stay in touch with it, but I remember there was this whole issue with Pantone colors, with them starting to, you had to actually license the colors in order to use them on Photoshop. Is that
not that I'm aware of? I mean, that's
okay.
Could be, but I mean, Pantone, I guess that could make sense. I mean, Pantone is a thing. It's a brand.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just kind of use the colors I want.
Okay, gotcha.
Never tried to sample Pantone colors for anything. So
man doesn't have to ask questions. He just colors.
That's right.
If he doesn't like the color, he throws it on the ground. Scale. I mean, whoa. No, I'm sorry. I got excited. Sorry, John. I got excited. I got a little too passionate about the colors. Yeah, I
the
keep
way
forgetting that.
the way that you're doing too, like the over at Ghost Machine, doing a Horn Speed and Halo, got some other stuff. I know you're doing a Rockefellers one coming up, Sisterhood. It happened on Hyde Street coming up. But in the Horn Speed and Halo, since you have the angelic and the demonic going on, and then you have the adjudicator, and he's basically dark, but not because he's a dark entity, but because he's like the cosmos kind of sit back, and you have that those glorious shots of him with like the stars and stuff coming through glowing, and it's just so much fun to see all of that. That I don't think we have it up right now. I didn't grab all the pages like I should have ahead of time so we go to specific page numbers, but it I mean, I learned because I don't think very often before I ask questions about things. I use GIMP, so I've known how to use layers, but I was like asking people like, oh, how did you do this kind of transparency? And they're like, it was a layer. I'm like, oh. But do you end up having to use a lot of different layers when you're doing that kind of stuff to
Not
keep track
crazy.
of?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of just, what I tend to do is work on a panel at a time. I know it's very unconventional. I've talked to other colorists about this, and they kind of think I'm like, that sounds weird. So you mentioned Rockefellers. So I did a few issues of that, and the first couple I did were with Francis Manifold, and Francis had his hands on all those pages as well. Like I did most of the heavy lifting, but he had actually set them up how he wanted them, and we talked on the phone a little bit before then. I'm like, this is not at all how I would set this up, but I knew he was going to come back in, so I was like, I'll do it, and I'll make it as easy for him as possible. Now I'm doing a few fill-in issues, and it's just kind of doing my own thing a little bit more. Francis has this way of layering things. He has the flat colors put in where there's a foreground layer, there's a background and a middle ground layer. And I was like, this is all kind of confusing. I'd rather just kind of get in and, paint the page as it goes. And then, I do keep a background layer with the flat colors on it so I can go back in and, make it's simple to go reselect something if I need to. So I don't go too crazy with it.
Okay.
Does that answer that question?
Yeah, I always get, everybody has their own technique, so it's interesting to see who did what. And you're working with, as we were talking about before the show, the amazing Rob Lee, he's getting so much work now, and it's so well deserved because, like I said, when other people are on, and like now, I'm always just like, and then there's this thing that Rob Lee did with your comic the one time. Do you guys, when you're doing like the explosions and things or the various sound effects, plan out the colors based on what your ideas are? Do you let Rob choose what he's doing?
That's Rob's job. He's I have complete faith in him to do that. So
yeah.
Everything, we do get a PDF before it goes to print that Brian Cunningham, our editor, will send out to the whole team and say, hey guys, review this. Any final notes? If there was anything that I thought was truly out of place, I would say something, but there really isn't ever problems. Rob knows what he's doing.
Well, and also, I mean, John, you're part of this new thing that's really already making waves. I mean, a lot of people have compared Ghost Machine to, the rise of like Image Comics back in the 90s. It's just this force of influential creators that are just telling these stories that are so unique and cinematic in a way, but again, their own. So I mean, you and Rob and a ton of others are all part of that. So again, just kind of like you said, working on the official history of the DC universe. You mentioned getting to do inks for that new cover for Absolute Infinite Crisis. Like, you're working on these things. You like sit and think like, wow, here I am doing this. Like does it dawn you like, wow, this is amazing, and I'm a part of it? Like, do you have to pinch yourself occasionally? Like,
occasionally. There's there's this site, Mike's Amazing World of Comics. You guys ever seen that site?
No.
If you go to it, you can actually put in. They have almost every cover of every comic ever published.
Oh wait.
And it's all. Yeah, it's very well annotated. They've got the creative teams listed and everything. You can actually search by creator. And I was kind of fiddling around with it, and I found you could actually go on there and look up by, by job, like penciler, inker, writer, and colorist. And it'll come up with how many pages an individual creator has done. And I look on there and I was like, holy cow, I've worked on a lot of pages. And, it'll actually give you a list of like the top 10, or it's probably more than that. It'll go in order of, how many pages an individual creator has done. And I'm like, I have colored more pages than, I looked at it. I think I was like all time on, at least on this list. It's probably not complete, but I was like 8th, I think, for coloring of all time. That's a lot of pages. And it's kind of humbling to like, wow, how I actually managed to do all this. It's incredible.
How many pages was that?
It's tens of thousands. It was like 30 some thousand. Oh, there it is. That's the site.
Good Lord. Just keep scrolling. Let those numbers scroll in. Scrolling.
Wow.
Jump. Work history. It just keeps going.
Drew's just
It keeps going.
yeah.
But it just DC's doing a hardcover collection, an omnibus actually, of the Secret Six that Gail Simone wrote. They've done that for a while, and the editor asked me for a biography. He said, keep it short. I'm like, there's too much to really list, and I just kind of always put down for a biography. I've colored Avengers to Zatanna and everything in between, so I cover the whole alphabet.
There you go. Short and sweet.
Yeah, there's no need to get into any individual things, but I have worked on a lot, and it's pretty cool to think. There's not, when I think about, is there anything that I didn't get to work on that I would have loved to? And the answer is really no. Like, I've worked on just about everything I would ever want to.
So
Sounds
by
like
the way, 24,680 pages colored.
Okay.
Yeah, and you are number 8.
And I don't think that list is. I thought I remembered that the guy that had done that website had passed away, so I don't think it's been updated in a while. So you can add some stuff onto that probably.
Yeah,
it's a lot of comics. 24,000 pages.
John, I believe that the term for what you're doing now is called humble bragging.
That's probably accurate.
So
Hey.
but like I said, humble. So keep up the good work, man.
Okay. I mean, I am proud of it. It is really cool to have been able to do it. And it's like, wow, it's wild. It's been a good ride, though.
Yeah. Now, is there anything you're currently reading in your downtime? I know you have limited downtime, but do you still get a chance to read anything?
I do. Not a ton. You know what I'm reading? Actually, I'm almost finished with there's a book by Ed Brubaker and Marcos Martin called Friday that I really, really am digging. It's 3 volumes. Has anybody read it?
No.
I'm actually just started reading that because on my other network, one of our co-hosts goes by Friday because of that book. So she was like, you have to get this. And so I just got it downloaded to read it. So yeah, I've read the introduction, but that's it. So you'll have to tell me more about it.
I dig it. It's almost like Friday is almost like a Nancy Drew kind of character. And but she's grown, she's gone off to college, and she had a partner that was basically like an Encyclopedia Brown kind of character who had stayed around in town. And she comes back home, and she's an adult now. So this is a very adult story. And some very weird, bizarre things start happening around her town when she comes home. There's a whole mystery to solve and everything. I'm actually not finished myself yet. I'm about halfway through the 3rd volume. So I'm reading that, and I'm really, really digging it. So that I give a high recommendation too.
There you go.
And another thing that I read this quite a while ago, but one that sticks with me is something I really loved is I Hate Fairyland that Scotty Young did.
Yes.
Terrific book. So much fun.
So good.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to give a shout out to his colorist too. That oh gosh, I can't remember. Francois, John Francois, maybe. It's a very French sounding name. Fantastic coloring in that book, though.
Yeah, that one was really. people have given him a lot of shit for it, and he's like, and this is exactly why I write it, because of people
Why
like
is he
you.
getting shit for it?
I'm not really sure. I think it's a great book, but apparently not everybody agrees. And there's like, oh, this is silly little kids, and just whine and bit,
Pretty violent, I
like
guess, but
like they do. Yeah, I I think it's more of a like it's the bullying in high school kind of level stuff. Like, oh, you're the weirdo who does this and who puts this kind of stuff in here, and we don't really need this. If you're saying violent combined with like it's kind of cutesy and everything, but it's yeah. And he's just like, and it's so I don't kill people like you that I write things like this because I went through some of that before. So now
Yeah,
it's shining and it's doing well in your face. Love
yeah,
Scotty.
yeah, success is the best revenge, right? It's
absolutely. And
hard to
and
argue with that.
and having met Scotty, he is like the nicest guy. So he is just so pleasant to talk to and chat. He is just so cool. So
Like I said, no, I've never met Scotty, but I do like his work a lot.
I had the fortune of meeting him 2 times, and each time he was just the coolest. So I will say, if you get a chance to, 10 for 10 would meet again.
Okay,
So
noted.
but yeah. But
Well, is there anything that you can tell us about the Peacemaker miniseries you're working on?
I'm just wrapping it up now. I've got 4 pages left to do that. So it's that kind of came up a while ago. It just was offered to me. There's 2 stories in it. So there's a lead feature that's a vigilante story that's written by Tim Seeley, and Mitch Gerrits is drawing it.
nice.
And I'm doing the Eagly feature, which is in the back, which is written by Rex Ogle. Matteo Lally is drawing, and I'm doing the colors.
Nice.
It's a Black Label book. It's very adult. It's very violent. The number one note that I get from the editors or the writer is it's not bloody enough. Like many times I've had to gone in to add more blood. So yeah, it's a hoot, and it's overseen by James Gunn. I personally have had no contact with him, but he's supposed to have his hands in it. Like I think he's advising on it because I think it might tie into the show coming up. So yeah, it's a fun. It's a hoot. I'm gonna miss it when it's gone. It's a 5-issue thing, and like I said, I'm almost done. So yeah, check it out.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely add it to my pull list. Yeah, the new Superman movie is supposed to tie into the Peacemaker show, and yeah, it'll be interesting.
I'm not sure how that's going to work.
Well, I think what we've seen in the trailer is Maxwell Lord and Guy Garner and Hawkgirl are kind of part of the interview process.
Okay.
So that's what we've seen so far. So,
well,
but
that and his interdimensional area that he goes into.
yes,
I forgot what it's called. Anyway,
again, in James Gunn we trust. So
yes,
indeed.
totally.
I convinced my mom to go with me. That's a big thing. She called me the other night and was like, "Do you want to go to Superman tonight?" I'm like, "I would love to, but it doesn't come out until next month." She's like, "Damn it."
I'm like, have you guys ever read? Speaking of James Gunn, I actually was. I knew who he was. I think a little bit before a lot of people did. He wrote a book called The Toy Collector years ago. Anybody read that?
I think like years ago. Like, yeah, that sounds really familiar. But
it's before it came out around the time he was writing like the Scooby-Doo movies. So it was sort of post-trauma. It's a story about a guy, young guy who works in a hospital, and he becomes obsessed with collecting vintage toys. So he starts stealing pharmaceuticals from the hospital and selling them to finance his toy habit. It's very personal, I think, to him. I would love to ask him like how close to your life is this? Because there's some stuff that seems very autobiographical in there. There's a lot more to it than that. There's a romance. There's a woman that he's interested in. That has a lot to do with it. I remember being I was in a Borders, if you remember Borders. They're long gone. Just seeing it on their new release table and looking at it, and I opened it up. I was looking at the chapters. One of the chapters was called Rom/Mom, and it went on to talk about, as a child, about his mother, and then discovering the comic Rom. So I was like, I think I need to read this. And I did, and I loved it. And I kind of been following James ever since.
There you go. Nothing wrong with that. But
very cool. I just bookmarked it. I'll add it to my Amazon list.
I will now also bookmark that because it's been a minute, so might as well just reread it. Yeah, well, we're basically coming on an hour, which is usually about the amount of time that we usually have our guests on, John. I will say thank you so much for joining us. This has been great. Honestly, good luck with everything. We're looking forward to it. And if there's anything project-wise that you're working on, like that involves a Kickstarter or anything, let us know. We'd be more than glad to promote that. And we'll, of course, if we see your name in any credits in here, we're definitely going to give you a shout out on any of the news we cover. So normally when we end, it's just if there's, as Leo's I think asked before, if there's any conventions you're attending, of course, we would love to let them know so people know where to go. And then, of course, if how can people find you on social media?
I'm on Instagram. It's just my name, John Kalisz. You can find me there. I am on Blue Sky. I think that's J Kalisz, so JKALISZ. I don't do a lot on Blue Sky, but I would like to. I probably should do more. But those are the two places you can really find me real easily and follow me right away. So
awesome. Well, definitely want to thank you for your time tonight, John. When you're ready, there's a leave studio button on the bottom. When you hit that, if you don't mind, it'll bring you to an uploads page. If you can just let that complete, because we do some post editing with the separate audio and video when you're done.
All right.
Cool beans.
All right.
Okay.
We're good. We lost Carrie here already.
Yeah, she had to reset her modem, so she's going to be coming back on. So I don't know if you want to hang to say goodbye to her. I don't know how long that might take. So also we don't we don't want to cost you any set you on any costly delays. We don't know what your backlog is. There could be another issue coming up that you have to fall asleep on your floor for. So we don't want
There's always an issue I have to fall asleep on my floor for.
Oh, there you go. See,
more pressing. I have a dog that needs to go out pretty soon.
There you go. So Carrie,
get her out.
You're back.
Oh,
John was
yes,
in the process
sorry.
of leaving, so he wanted to. We were waiting so he could say good boy. So yes, he's very nice like that. He has to go walk the dog too. So
you have to go walk the dog. So
yes.
All right.
She's okay for now, but I think she's probably got to go out.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I got to take care of the fur babies.
Definitely.
Indeed.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Even the stuffed ones. It was wonderful meeting you. Thank you for coming on
likewise.
tonight.
Thanks so much. This was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you, John. And like I said, leave studio button on the bottom. And if you have any issues, it'll let me know and I can send a link afterwards.
Yeah, just when you leave, just it'll bring you to an uploads page. Just let the uploads page get to 100%. And again, if there's any issues, we'll reach out and send you a separate link page you could use.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll leave and then I'll get the dog and I'll let it run. So
yeah, do that.
Great.
Awesome.
Okay,
you,
you guys. Thank you so much. This was a lot of fun.
Oh, absolutely. You're welcome back anytime. And good luck with everything. And I don't know, have a good rest of the week. Live long and prosper.
It works.
Well, there you go. Wonderful.
Okay, guys. I got to get to this dog.
Yep.
So,
thank you.
Take care, everybody. Thanks again. Bye-bye.
Yep. Bye.
And then there were three.
He was so nice. I'm sorry I dropped out.
And you know what? I feel like we've accomplished a new, new level unlocked. Carrie, I think we got to thank Leo. This is the most we've seen him talk, and since we found that there were multiple variants on an issue.
Look what happened. I screwed up how many times?
Okay, first things first. Okay.
I gotta say, the internet is wrong about it. I went to his Goodreads page and it listed, somebody's version of his Goodreads page, and it listed him in like 20, 30 things that I would then look up, and it's like, no, he didn't actually do that. Somebody just put him on it for some reason. So that is a resource not to be used or trusted.
Yeah, they probably in like DC. I was on DC's actual page and trying to pull up his stuff, and Yeah, you tried to do your research, and sometimes you're led astray. The
And
internet
with
lies.
as much stuff as he's done, it's insane how many times we found the wrong thing because we should have accidentally come across the right things. You know what I mean? Like, but I think they let us apart on purpose. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes.
He did do. I know we didn't want to focus too much on his older stuff, but he did do a bunch of awesome Batman stuff. Yeah, it's. Let me, I know I should have went over this when he was here, but
It's okay, Leo. It's okay. It's okay. Don't worry. Stop yelling. But like I was saying before, it's going to be kind of a bit of a shorter show, if I'm correct, because we really don't have any news to share. So, not a single variant story or new story. Fun fact: there's so much more now for next week because the universe had to kind of prove me wrong in saying that. But yeah, unfortunately,
I did
-1.
grab. Yeah, and I can cover this one because I grabbed the stuff for it.
Okay. Well,
But
I didn't have anything, but Carrie does. So Carrie, do the thing.
yeah, Lou, can you pull up the one single file that I grabbed there? So GameStop has released their own. It's a GameStop foil Marvel giant size X-Men #1 variant cover, and it's got this is I grabbed these pictures from Reddit because I could not find the official stuff for it. But depending on some different places that you go, in some towns, none of the GameStops got them. Some of them, one would get them. Sometimes the people had no idea what was going on. The promo is different at different stores. Like these were one, and the promo was buy 2 Marvel Legends figures, get the comic for free. But one place didn't have it, and they were giving out different things. There was another one where they got there and the manager just said to take all of them because nobody wanted it. Nobody was coming in. And so and other people are just like, well, I'm going to go into GameStop. I'm going to buy my 2 figurines. I'm going to get my free comic book. And then tomorrow I'm going to go return the 2 figurines. So cool on you, buddy.
yeah, yeah. Actually, I saw multiple people do that on Reddit, where they bought 2 figurines, got the book, then went to another GameStop and returned the 2 figures. And with GameStop, you're saying the manager took all the copies. It's GameStop had a issue, I think, in the fall with some pre-orders or something like that, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but I used to work for it was GameStop before it became GameStop. And employees would like hide stuff, or it wouldn't even make it to the shelf.
There's a little thing on the inside that the guy put up too. I didn't go into that, but it shows like it's made specifically for GameStop on this date. Price is $0.00. So that they can't try to charge for them. They're already up for $80 to $100 on eBay, though.
Woohoo!
And those people whose stores are giving them all away or taking them all and not giving any away. Way to be an asshat.
Yep.
Just saying.
Yeah.
There are kids out there who would really enjoy that. Because
there's always those people out there. They just they are perpetually and this is why we can't have nice things. So
I just a quick story, real quick. Quick. Yeah.
It's okay.
When I used to work for Software Etc., which was GameStop before they became GameStop, this was back in the 90s. And I remember, we got a box of stuff in. So I'm opening it up and I'm like, what the fuck is this weird little figure? And all of a sudden, like somebody saw that I had one, and then they just swarmed like around me, and like the box was empty in seconds. It was it was Pokemon. Like I didn't realize it was like when Pokemon got released, it was just insane. I had a box and then it was empty.
Leo, that reminds me back during the COVID age where people were like going crazy about toilet paper. Do you remember that someone had recorded a video of people just like obliterating? I think it was like one of those like Sam's Club size, like, uh, I don't know, pallets of toilet paper, but they put it to Walking Dead zombie noises. So you're just watching these people with the toilet paper and you're just hearing. I was like, well, that's appropriate. Because that, you know.
Meanwhile, I use Scott 1000. So one case, living home alone, I didn't have to worry about it because that shit lasts forever.
Well, that's no. See, when you said "meanwhile," that sounded like some Super Friends things, like "Meanwhile" and Carrie Sanders
Back
home.
in the halls of justice.
Yep, absolutely. Don't steal my lines, Carrie.
When
back at Leo Pond's microphone.
When I was moving, just last year, and we're packing up, going through stuff in the garage, I was like, "Oh shit, we still have 2 cases of toilet paper from COVID."
Good. Listen, Leo, you never know.
You never know. Yeah. But
If the world falls, you might need that to barter onto a boat. You never know, man.
So,
that could be the gold coins of this new Mad Max dystopia that is apparently approaching us.
Yeah.
Do you remember Y2K? Okay, so my grandma and papa, the ones that I took care of, lived up in Takema, and they would drive, and they had this really nice house. Papa built it like literally by hand or whatever up on a hill, had a full basement, 3 bedrooms. The basement included a wet bar and like a keg fridge and everything. So it was like really cool, but they stocked up and we had plans in place. Like mom had extra gas because we were all going to go hole up at Papa and Grandma's if anything happened. And I was just like, oh my God, this is so weird that we were planning this. But when we went through later, they didn't need it, but we were going through and seeing what they had. It was like 15 cases of Old Milwaukee, which I think, or Milwaukee's Best, one of the two, which I think was just what he drank anyway for beer, and all the booze. And then there was like Jello, creamed corn, beans, and a couple of these. It was like, we were going to live on this? Like, all we would have done was sit in the bathroom all day. What did you have to eat today? Creamed corn, baked beans, and Old Milwaukee. This is how Nebraskans sit out the disaster.
Wow. Thank you, Carrie.
It's so terrible.
Oh, jeez.
This is what filler is before we get to your Kickstarters,
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of that,
we have some time for banter.
I know. I'm not saying it. I'm just saying we got to fire these writers.
This is the banter I chose.
We got to fire these writers. They are doing nothing for us. We're not going to win that Emmy.
Do either of you have your Superman tickets yet?
No.
No. Mom is taking me though, so
I am choosing not to until I get a haircut. I will go in looking fresh to death and not Guy Garnery. Thank you.
You want to go with a bowl cut?
Nope. I already had that in my life. I don't want to relive that, please.
Okay.
Oh, I can Photoshop that in. That'll be fun.
Please don't.
Come up with a new segment for that.
Please don't. For the love of God, please don't.
Okay, so before we do Kickstarters, though, Leo, is there anything new in the world of Leo Pond's Pulls? Like, did you get any new toys? Or I'm trying to come up with something for you, like, because you show us your stuff.
No, I do have some stuff on pre-order.
Of course,
some books. But my 3D printer came in today.
Oh,
yay!
God.
So now
just what you need, more toys.
I know. So I just need I ordered a shelf from Wayfair, and once that gets here, we'll make some room in the basement and get it all set up.
Thank God your wife has infinite love and patience.
She
Oh, I
does.
spent.
Yeah.
She
Oh,
does.
she's a saint. She is an absolute saint.
Yeah, we have to, Harry, when we see the pawns for Terrific Con, because we will, we need to get something nice for Megan. Be like, thanks for taking care of our boy. We know he's not easy, but you do such a good job. And she's like, oh, I love him. I was like, I know, we're still wondering why, but we love you for it, because ours is in small doses. But I'm sure people think the same thing about me and Ange. They're like, how do you do it? And I was like, well, it's because she's a savage too. Yeah. And
There's a
I'm sure.
reason that my life partner is a squirrel right now.
Okay, first things first, Carrie, I just want to point out I still see our guests, and you're just getting so good with the hand movements. I think I still occasionally see someone gets a little unsettled, but like, okay, those movements are way too accurate. Like, you're on some Muppet level shit right there. Just
Actually, I think the squirrel took over the meeting last night. It was
Yeah, maybe.
last night. Oh my God, last night's meeting. So if everybody watching, we're going to Terrificon, and we
oh my
had a
god,
meeting.
no!
Yeah, we had a meeting to discuss, setup and what's needed to be
Battle plans.
battle plans. Yeah, and yeah, the meeting went a little awry. It was like
I
herding
watched
cats.
about it.
Poor Leo had to
You
put up with like 8 of us or
Oh
something.
my God. Yeah.
It's hysterical.
stealing the
Yeah.
mic.
Drew, what the hell are you doing?
My phone's dying. Shut up. Stop paying attention to me. Tell your story.
Yes, tell the story.
Okay.
So yeah, so we had we had this meeting going on, and it would go from like people are talking, people are doing something, and suddenly like, oh, I heard that you like that. Well, okay, it was me going like, oh, I heard that you're a fan of this. You need to read this, and let's talk about this. And then Leah's like making charts, and we're all like, what in the fuck are you drawing?
And then eventually, at some point, I was like, okay, I need to go. I am no longer the loudest person in the room. And then on top of it, like my signal was apparently really bad.
Oh yeah,
So
you were stuttering major league.
We couldn't
yeah,
understand.
exactly.
I was the Drew translator because I speak to you so frequently that even when you only have like a third of the syllables coming through, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, you speak Milanese. He's like,
Yes.
let me. What is this? He is saying you're all idiots. And he's using. Hold on. He's using his hand a lot. Big idiots. Galactus-sized morons. And it's like, how do you know? I said, I talk to the man every day. I have learned the ways. If this was an art, I would be a Jedi master by now.
And then StreamYard tried to make me think I was having a stroke because one person joined us and they were upside down for me and nobody else. And then I thought they were all just fucking with me, like he was really upside down and I just was the only one commenting on it. But I had to take a screenshot and show, and then they're like, no, he's really, and they showed me, and I was like, why is he upside down?
Why are you all gaslighting me?
What is going on?
Why are you tech gaslighting me? Yeah.
Yeah, it was just hilarious how everybody just started fucking with you, Carrie.
It was great. I thought I was.
You're there in spirit with us, buddy. So Tom's talking about how
Yeah,
he can't.
Tom.
Yeah, it's okay, bud. We'll see if we can get you a hat, or perhaps a poster, or if we can't afford that, maybe a button.
I did pre-order those cards. Those Terrificon cards.
Oh, you pre-order. Oh, okay. He said cards. I thought he said covers. I was like, what? Did Lee Bermejo do a blue sky? And, wow, what a wonderful blue sky that is. It is just so, like, I'm just waiting for Lee Bermejo draws things. Oh, look at this Lee Bermejo cactus.
Hold on.
Hey, man.
I did get something.
Oh, Carrie, you know what? I have to stop doing this to myself. I at this point, he's just waiting for us to give him the ammo.
Let Leo bloom. He deserves to have his his nerdishness show
His
through.
name is
We're
Leo
not the only
Pond.
ones.
Carrie, his name is Leo Pond,
Leo
not Leo.
Pond.
Okay.
Leo Pond can. Well, he's allowed to show off all of his things too. We go off on our little
Whoa.
weird
Whoa,
obsessions.
whoa, whoa, hold on. Don't
Ooh,
mind me about Leo. I've known him a little
hold on.
longer. Don't mom voice me. Show off, Leo.
Okay.
Ooh, that's
Yeah.
nice.
Hattush
Oh, God.
with Liebermejo.
Oh, God.
But I'm not going to say how many copies that I purchased.
7.
No, 3.
Damn it.
Oh, conservative Leo.
Yeah, this was really cool. I didn't realize Liebermejo did Marvel. So I have one and I have another one coming. Spider-Man.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Didn't he do a bad guys cover? Remember,
Yep.
it was the Green Goblin and Spider-Man, and Lee likes. Oh yeah. Oh wow, is that? Oh,
James
that's
Gunn.
James Gunn and his Superman.
Yep.
Yep.
Nice. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, we got it. We got it, buddy. We got it, buddy. You're a Superman fan.
Yes.
Yes. All right.
Yes.
Not as big as Brandon, but yeah, it's
not a competition. You're all super. Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right, Carrie. I think we've bantered enough. You got Kickstarters? You got some money?
I got some stuff that we're gonna start with Voodoo Nations if we wanna. This is what I want you guys to do. You wanna shut up, let these guys take your money, and you're gonna get some wonderful things. Yeah. This one I should have gotten out earlier, but I didn't know about it. But let me get that up. Oh,
1 second. I'm just.
documents are jumping all over for me. Okay, so are you ready, Drew?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm just go without me. Go.
Okay, so this one is Voodoo Nations, the complete series, issues 1 through 5. It all ends here. Will RJ escape the Voodoo Nations and save her husband? Find out in his epic conclusion. There's only 3 days left on this one, guys, but I didn't know about it until just yesterday, so that's why it's showing up now, which means you have until Friday, June 20th at 7:01 p.m. to fund it. This is being put out by Travis Gibb and Orange Cone Productions. We've covered some of their stuff before. The story behind it is missionaries RJ and Brent head down to a community in Brazil that has lost 270 people after a terrible flood. While they're there to help the people, they discover that the community already has someone looking out for it, voodoo priest Bishop Lucas. As they fight over the community, one of Bishop's followers kills Brent, then offers TJ a way to resurrect her husband. The resurrection goes wrong, of course, leading RJ deeper into the world of voodoo. Voodoo Nations is a 5-issue miniseries created by Travis Gibb, who also broke down Four Dead Bodies, Granite State Punk, and Cthulhu Invades, and Gilliard Goulart from Atomics the Nuclear Man, Alba Sunio from Vanguard on colors, Heather Gibb from Pup Van Winkle and Holiday Spirits on edits, and Jerome Gagnon from Holiday Spirits, Cthulhu Invades, and Granite State Parks and Caffeinated Hearts on letters. The rewards with this one, pledges range from $5 to $360. Most of them are below the $50 mark. You can get the digital and physical copies of the books with different covers, all of the covers, catch-up bundles. For $360, you get the complete Orange Cone collection, which currently is made up of Voodoo Nations 1 through 5, Expired 1 and 2, Broke Down, and Four Dead Bodies trade. Holiday Spirits trade 1 through 3, Cthulhu Invades, Oz, Wonderland, Neverland, Fairy Tales, Granite State Punk Breaking Edge, Granite State Punk The Coven, Granite State Punk Only Posers Fall in Love, Pup Van Winkle, Holiday Spirits Christmas in July 1 through 3, Sing Along Comic Cottage Cheese, Hospice Trade, and Upheaval. That is a lot of books for very little money. And as far as the add-ons go, you can see there's a coaster set. And then if you go back to the orange page, those are all of the other ones, and it's pretty much all of the different orange cone merchandise you can fill up on. And so it's pretty straightforward on moving its branding and giving you a couple little extra things for that, but they don't go super all out like some people do. They keep it all within the brand, and if you're a comic book fan, that's why you're there. So you're going to go ahead and get the comic books. Looks really fun to me. I love voodoo stuff, so I'm excited that it's all coming out in one group and we're on the final issue so we can see it. There's some great artwork involved here, and it's a really good team, and they fulfill really quickly as well. So yeah, that is Voodoo Nations. So I hope you all get a chance to check that out. And a really cool thing about it is if you go on the site, first click at the very beginning, you can read issue 1 to see if it is something that you would like or not. So do that. Check it out. Like it. Buy it. Yeah, I love it when they give you a chance to see whether or not you're into it. You know, besides just a couple of preview pages thrown. This is, hey, look at the whole first thing. If you don't like it, it's not your thing. All right. But for $36, you can check out all of our titles, you know? And next, yeah. Next, we're going to move on to the last thing on the show tonight. This is called Prism, an anthology of tomorrow. It has 16 days left on it, so you can fund it if you get in there by Friday, July 4th at 3:44 a.m. Central. And basically, a prism separates white lights into its individual wavelengths. These vignettes show how one wavelength from a light from a light at the end of the tunnel. This is put out by HiveMind Creative Co-op, and basically it's set around a prism separating light. Each color wavelength is a part of that one ray of light. In times of darkness, we must always look for the light to guide us through, even if it is just one tiny ray. Prism is a graphic novel anthology that bends the light into all of the possibilities of what could be and offers visions of the future that waits if we keep working, fighting, and hoping for a better tomorrow. It's composed of 8 stories, 2 poems, and has 17 creatives working in it. One of the stories is a short story, and when they opened up submissions, they received more applications than they could have imagined. They set forth to select a group of diverse viewpoints and styles to create a truly one-of-a-kind book. They were honored to feature creators from not only all over the United States, but the globe, presenting a wide range of ideas of what a future utopia might look like. The artists include Larissa Hughes, Tessa Lewicart, Luce Northstar, Yadriel Sanz, Jack Fantôme, Beat, N. Celeste Snyder, Ren Rios, and Lita Rail. And the authors include Nicholas Aaron Hodge, Luke W. Henderson, Akira B. Andrei Ostapenko, Andrew Shep, Jerna Van Voren, Edward Kane, and Devin Whitlock. And I've actually read a bit of Devin Whitlock's story, and it is wonderful. This is the first time, these are all the creators right there, and this is their HiveMind's first project being released. They're using it to test the waters and see if they can make something last. They fulfilled all of their obligations already and have everything ready for production. They just need to know if they have the support behind it to make sure that it's something they should go forward with. The tiers range from $5 to $1,000, but are mostly on the lower end. They include like a sticker pack, digital and physical copies, limited edition covers, and bundles that include posters, thank yous. And this is kind of a very cool concept for the $1,000 angel investor. It says that with this donation, you cover 20% of their funding goal, receive all previous rewards, including appearing in the acknowledgement page, be listed as a sponsor on the HiveMind Co-op website, and receive a special lifetime code to receive 20% off all future titles and merchandise released by HiveMind. So, yeah. If you go through, the add-ons are very simple: stickers, posters, and a digital download. If you want a physical copy, you do have to get a reward tier, but it's all very simple put together. It's very pretty, and it's, you know, unless, I mean, you can spend $1,000 and be in on this great 20% off future titles from this collective. And like I said, I know a little bit about some of the creators, and they're wonderful. So yeah, it's something to definitely look into investing in. I think it's going to be great. The short stories and the creators involved, those that I know of, they're wonderful people. They're quite creative and fun to read. So I look forward to seeing the whole thing put together. It's a different kind of idea behind a book. So yeah. And that's what I got for Carrie's Kickstarters. Go
Awesome.
check it out.
Super
So-
awesome. That looks great. Both of them look awesome, Carrie. Nicely done.
Yeah.
So with Prism and the light streams, I just have to ask, does the story change if you look away from it? I know neither
It
of you
might,
got-
but you'll never know.
If
The
you
sign is
understand
in Spanish when you
mechanics-
aren't looking.
If you understand quantum mechanics, you are dying laughing right now. So
Why are you like so assuming that I don't understand quantum mechanics?
I
Wavelengths, yes, they do collapse. I understand
me.
these things, Leo.
I
no, the
would like
double
us to end the show because I don't know those.
Yes.
So
You run the Planck
Uh,
test. Yes.
the double slit experiment, where
Yes.
if you
I call it the Planck test for some reason. But yes,
Wrap
double slit. If it goes through, there's a
the
dot.
show.
I do understand that, Leo. I am not
Okay.
a moron.
I didn't say you're a moron.
Wrap
You're
up the
just
show,
like, oh,
please.
she wouldn't have any idea. You guys are laughing, but
Well,
not my co-host with a squirrel, because what would she know? I did. I gave it a chuckle.
Okay.
I got it. Did you guys see they announced who's going to play Clayface? Sure.
Oh yeah.
Oh, cool. I have no idea who.
I forgot who it is though.
Tom Rice Harris.
Yes. And where's
Wow.
he?
Thank you, Jar.
So how'd you guys close your show? Fighting about quantum mechanics.
Yeah, we should have just ended on that. That would have been very impressive too. And now we're just like, and we know nothing, Jon Snow.
Yeah.
Correction.
Okay.
And they know nothing, Jeremy Courtney.
We'll wrap things up. I want to thank everybody for watching this fine evening. For me, just Google me. There's a bunch of stuff up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. But more importantly, check out our awesome guest that we had earlier, John Kalisz, and check out our awesome co-hosts here, starting with Carrie.
Gonna correct, sorry, John Kalisz. We went through this a couple times. Reinforcement through nice means. Kind of.
You know what it was?
maybe.
It was that Khaleesi joke you did earlier. And I had Game of Thrones on the mind.
Oh my God, Carrie, just keep going.
Okay, Tom Rice hoodies. Okay. If you want to follow me, go to Carrie Sanders on Facebook. If you see a judgmental crow face staring back at you, that is me. You can send me stuff. You can find my links to my other network, the Light Network, where I do some shows as well, and to things that I write and things that I do. But lately, I've just been kind of a big cluster kerfuffle because I have a lot of things going on. So reach out. If I don't reach out back, sorry, I'll get around to it. But yeah, more important, let's talk to Drew, see how he's doing and what we have going on next week.
I bet you thought I was frozen, didn't you? I wasn't. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. We hope you enjoyed our time with John Kalisz. And if you're enjoying it and you haven't, please hit the subscribe button. We're doing our best to keep building it. God fucking damn it, Carrie. Fine. Our guest. And if you enjoy seeing guests on our show, know that we will have 2 guests on next week. We have the great Dean Haspiel joining us once again to talk about what he's currently working on, and he's joined by a friend, and that friend's name is Carrie. What's the name?
Vito Del Sante.
Thank you.
Mhm.
We're gonna have Dean and Vito on. We're gonna be talking comics with them. Super duper exciting. It's always good having Dean on. Someone that again we will be seeing at Terrificon. And if you need to chat with me, and I don't know why, but it happens, find me on Facebook. I'm Drew Malo, Ghostbuster 1984 on Instagram. I also am on Blue Sky, although boy, it's been a minute. And yeah, as you can tell, I'm available ish. So if you reach out, I'll do my best to reach out to you within this year. No promises.
Okay. Catch you later. Bye.
Bye.